Spurs hitting the road as we sit on the road, but they're going to beautiful Miami to start a road trip. 9 games on the road, 10 wins. In the past, as we headed on out to this was the traditional bunker down, prepare yourself. These are the roles. We're headed to the playoffs. Let's get it started. That's not the case anymore. Miami does offer less of a threat than they used to. This is a team kind of in their own transition, but I don't think prospects are great tonight. I think we look at incremental growth as we begin a roadie.
It's going to be tough, to say the least. Not great to start at Miami, personally.
But historically, we're pretty good.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, right now, By the way, did you see? I saw this last night right when I was going to bed. The Bucks lost last night to the Suns. And I want to read this exactly. This was from StatMuse. It was the Bucks' first loss on a Tuesday in over 1,000 days.
That is a very important stat. That is equal to or better the assist of 20.
They had won 26 straight Tuesday games. But anyway, on that kind of subject, great article in the Express News. Nick Moyle wrote it, kind of recapping or establishing where the Spurs are at as the Rodeo Road Trip begins. So from 2003 to 2017. Pretty prominent stretch of time for the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs played 125 games throughout the Rodeo Road Trip and won 88 of them. Winning percentage just over 70, with a winning record in 14 of those 15 seasons throughout the road trip. So, which is why we've been kind of talking about this. Like the Rodeo Road Trip was always fun, because it was like, oh, they're gonna go kick ass and whatever, and tune themselves up and get ready for the playoffs. That has not been the case over the last few seasons. The last 5 Rodeo Road Trips have featured the Spurs playing 39 total games. How many do you think they have won in 5 years? 5 years, 39 games.
10.
It is exactly 10.
Oh, that is awful, man. That is so counter to what we believe this to be. It is truly what everybody thought it was going to be when this first started kicking in when we built that place.
Just really quickly, this is a little bit muddied because of COVID and that kind of season. But again, as far as games that are counted, 10 of 39. Dude, what? How is that possible?
Well, Roddy, even good teams only hope to win half. I mean, we have to be realistic that it is the NBA.
We didn't have to be realistic before, though.
You're right. And to just win half would have been an upsetting Rodeo Road Trip just because we were accustomed to such things. But what I think feels even worse is the Rodeo Road Trip's tough on any team. 9 consecutive road games. It is broken up by the All-Star game. You do get to come home, but there's something about home cooking. Then we have added in 2 more. Or how many of the Austin games are we dealing with? The outside of San Antonio roadies that really aren't home games for anybody. So then we've got a bad team that can't win on the road, that we have taken away 2 more home cooking games or the Austin games. So we got another road issue here. So we've compounded our pain in the effort to grow the brand. And it just seems miserable now knowing the prospects of a month where any win the Spurs get for the next month will be considered an upset. They're not going to be favored in one game. Not that they're accustomed to being favored at all, but you add 2 points or 3 points, no matter what to this. This looks like they're paddling a kayak up a rapid, and it's just going to be a miserable ride.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like, there's no way of splitting this. It's going to be terrible. As far as the road trip is concerned, though, specifically the 9 games, you mentioned being, underdogs or whatever. Find the win. Okay, just generally. At Miami.
No.
At Orlando.
No.
At Brooklyn.
No. That's the city.
Maybe.
What's how long before we play Brooklyn were we off?
Do you get 2 days?
2 days? So I'm going to put that as a possible.
They're at Orlando tomorrow and at Brooklyn on Saturday.
I'm going to put the Brooklyn as a possible.
At Toronto on Monday.
I know.
At Dallas.
No.
At the Kings.
No.
At the Lakers.
No.
At the Jazz.
No. Jazz is possible.
At the T-Wolves.
Dude, that's the best win of the year. There's some revenge coming. That ain't going to happen.
So maybe, maybe 2 games.
If they fall ass backwards and find some luck.
Tonight, obviously, the game that begins the Rodeo Road Trip at Miami, what do you think the line is?
Last I saw it was 8.5.
We had talked. If it was 9.5, would you take them at double digits? It's down to 8. Down.
Well, I discount the fact that they have had some days of practice, and anybody who follows the Spurs closely and is playing a Prize Picks app, I would pick the over in a lot of things, because one thing I do know about Pop and his team is they do execute after a good couple of days of practice. So I do think they're going to come out ready to go, knowing full well that, you dive into the pool, you swim real hard, and then you float. So you might as well start this thing with a win so you can get one under your belt. I think they're coming for bear. And if they can, they're certainly bigger than Miami. So I do think that there's some opportunity. But I'd take the Spurs anything under 13.
I don't think so. I do want to address two things in the Brigade Bar. Cougs, we see you, Cougs, says Brooklyn is definitely a maybe. Toronto, too.
Yeah, Toronto is.
Sure. So that's the first thing. But I do want to also touch on, Claymore said, if we're going to tune in, it's a courtesy explanation on the lack of video. So
yes.
we saw you.
We owe you this.
We saw you talking about this in the chat. By the way, and this literal conversation is accessible on our website, sasportstar.com. Every day we talk silver and black in our podcast. You can go check that out. You can also watch this specific segment on our YouTube channel. Go to the SA Sports Star YouTube channel, subscribe, like, Noti Gang, turn on the notifications, et cetera, et cetera. The reality of this situation is we're not in the studio, we're on the road, so there are some technical difficulties, what with, curating this, that, and the other. So all of these interviews that Rob and I are doing
are on video.
On the Morning Huddle are on video. If you are on our YouTube channel, you could stay watching the show live. But if you just go to our channel, you can see the video. So if you go there right now, you will see the interviews that we have had so far while we've been here in Las Vegas. Brian Billick, and then this morning we had Andrew Perloff and Mike Smith.
And everything else we do.
Right. And every interview that Rob and I have will be available on the YouTube channel as its own standalone video. It won't be part of the stream because of the technical difficulties involved with everything. But if you go to the YouTube channel, you can find those videos. You can watch those conversations. Apologies for having to take those few teeny tiny extra steps. But that's the best way that we can get everything together without blowing up the universe.
And it's worth seeing RJ. That alone is worth the effort.
That's true. And you can see all the guests.
Predictions, I do think 1-2 wins, and we'll find one, because I do know they're capable of it. There's teams that they match up well against on this road. There's opportunities for, Victor to show versus guys of his height and smaller. There's some opportunity with teams that don't play very good defense. So I do think there's an opportunity, because we have seen them play well enough to be contention. I will also predict there will be 2 wins. We'll find it.
I don't think so.
I do, but above and beyond that, when we do finally see them in home brown.
Let's for a second.
Can you imagine that I just said that? When they're home in their brown and pink. I think during this little roadie, and when they fly home for the All-Star break and Victor grabs his All-Star garb, this team is going to be different. We got a couple of days. The trade deadline tomorrow.
Who's right now? Give me one name that's not on the Spurs on Friday.
I would be shocked that if Chetty Osman is still a Spur, it's because they did not get a good enough offer. I know, in their minds, I know that he is a needed and valued commodity on a couple of teams that need that for the push. He's worthwhile price-wise, contract-wise. McDermott also offers a service that I think a lot of teams are looking for. So I'd be rather surprised if something like that doesn't happen. But I'm not. But my expectations of the Spurs making a move right now would be, it would be.
Well, bringing someone in is what
making
a
deal that would, just because Chetty's gone doesn't mean something coming back. It could be draft picks. It could be some other stuff. But I do think.
Cash considerations,
whatever it takes, but I don't hold out hope that I'd say it's 30% that it'll happen. But I do think that there's teams that are going to be calling over the next 24, 48 hours.
I do think the most likely trade involves Chetty being freed, finding a new home.
Mm-hmm.
But by the way, Brian in the Brigade Bar says Pop should be held accountable for not handing Wemby the ball for the final 7 minutes. That is those are the 7 minutes from hell. I have not seen people that have assessed, and some of it's been the little break before the Rodeo Road Trip, but people are really and there's been a game since then, but those 7 minutes are really kind of trapping, rightfully so, Spurs fans right now.
It encapsulates the season, and I think everybody who saw it realized it, including the coach. And I think the players involved realized post-game that kind of summed up a lot of stuff that they're dealing with. And maybe that's a cure from the Rodeo Road Trip. One of those things where it is truly the San Antonio against everybody. And maybe that'll kind of lend more of a sharing environment, a Batman and Robin-esque, where you figure out which cape you got on.
I don't think Robin.
You don't want to
gets a
wear
cape.
somebody else's cape.
Rob-
You ever put on a misfitting cape?
I never have.
Well, I speak from experience, and a misfitting cape chafes.